Thank you guys for joining. So, Baruch Hashem, we're here today. This week's parasha is Parashat Toldot, and now, Bezat Hashem, we're going to go and start with a very interesting topic of Tefillah. So, Baruch Hashem, we see that after many years, finally, Yitzchak, he became a Chatan, 37 years old. He found his Kala, Baruch Hashem. And last week we saw the first marriage in Jewish history, like the proper way that it was done, and that Baruch Hashem, they found the right girl right away. And just a little thing about Eliezer, what he did last week was, and Baruch Hashem, we have Eliezer in the house here, so we have to mention him. And what did he say last week, Eliezer? He said, Hashem, please send me the right one for my master. My master is a big tzaddik. We don't have time here to waste. You have to send me the deal right away, on the spot. And before he was able to finish speaking, Rivka showed up, and then right away was able to make a match. So we're going to speak about this subject a little bit, about how in this week's parasha we see that for over 10 years she couldn't have children, Rivka, at the age of 23. And Yitzchak, they both went and they started praying to have children. And we see that it was very difficult, but the verse in the parasha, says clearly the word vayater. So to know what the word vayater means, I'm just going to find it right here, because I want to tell you the exact verse. Here you go. I have it right here. So vayetar Yitzchak laHashem lenochach ishto ki akari vayetar lo batar Rivka ishto. So it says vayetar is a word of eter. What does this mean? This means then, well, the basic verse means that he saw that his wife couldn't have children, and he went and he prayed to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and Hashem went and Rivka got pregnant. So the Gemara says that the word vayetar, what does vayetar mean? The word vayetar means that it was it's like a pitchfork. What's a pitchfork? A pitchfork, the same way that when you take it and you're able to go and take the stalk and take the food and turn it upside down, then the same way the Chachamim, they're able to turn an evil decree that Hashem went and made and to turn it into a good decree. So we see this word vayetar. Now what did he do? He went and he prayed for his wife. And here the man Lord explains, so even though now they were complete righteous people, so now the question is, why did Hashem make it so difficult for them to have children? Now we know today, you have anybody can be the most wicked person in the world, and we see he has children. So now Yitzchak and Rivka, who are the founders of the Jewish people, right? How come it's so difficult for them to have children? So here the man Lois brings 4 reasons. So he says, Asiba Rishona. So the first reason is so he says the first reason is that in last week's parasha, when she left and she went to marry Yitzchak, you had Lavan and Betuel and her family. They blessed her. They said you should be so successful and you should be, very, very children, have everything great, and so that we don't say that the blessing of the Rishaim was the one that worked. So Hashem, right? Because we don't want to give merit to the people that are Rishaim. The second reason was the second reason is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to hear the prayer of the tzaddikim. People who are tzaddikim, what do they always say? They say, Gam Tova. All this is also for the good. So if Hashem doesn't want me to have children now, so I won't have children. Hashem doesn't want me to make the deal, but they don't daven for personal things. For other people, they're going to daven all day, but for their personal needs, they're not going to go and cry and ask things directly. It says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to hear in their prayer, so he made it that they should daven. And it's also to go and teach the people the importance of Tefillah. And also to teach people that there's the Kadosh Baruch Hu, he's Shomea Tefillah, like we daven every day in the Shemona Esrei. We say Baruch Ata Hashem, blessed are you Hashem, Shomea Tefillah, the one who listens, who hears Tefillah. So what does this mean? We learn this here from the Avot. We see that when we have a difficulty in life, we have things that are not going the proper kosher Jewish way, we have problems with children and business or anything, we can always go and dive into HaKadosh Baruch Hu and build this personal relationship with Hashem. And also, not only that, it also goes in another level, is that we also when we're missing something, it gives us a certain humility. We understand that we're not the one in control, that it's the one who is in control is Hashem. Therefore, we can only turn to him for mercy. So the third reason, and the third reason was to show that things don't come because I have a good mazal, or I did a certain mitzvah, so that's why I should get it. The HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Mashgiach. He's the one that's in charge. He's the one who's giving the providence, divine providence, to the ones who fears him, to give them what they ask for. So like we see, as soon as he davened to have children, he went and he was blessed with children. Like we saw in the previous parasha that the Mamlez brings, with Eliezer, the same thing. As soon as he davens, exactly what he davened for, he got it. And I told you guys the story a few times already, but very quickly, the pair of tefillin. So I don't know if Rafael ever heard it, but I spoke this week on the Shabbat Chatan for my brother, and we spoke about this. We spoke about the same way that Yad Hashgacha Pratit Eliezer, that he was there and he asked Hashem, and exactly what he wanted, he got, and he said, "I'll wait for this girl if she's gonna offer me water and for my animals as well." And exactly what he asked, he got it. So I was saying the story about my friend that we lost touch for many years, 10, 15 years. Here and there we got in touch. And he calls me up out of the blue on a Thursday night. He tells me, "Hey, do you know someone? I need a pair of tefillin, my tefillin ripped." But the guy, he's like this type that went to India. Once you go to India, you're done. Okay, and so many problems here and there, and it was so difficult. You're like, "Well, this guy," it's like, it's like, sometimes some people and you're like, "Wow, this guy is the last guy I expect to do tshuva." So look at that. But when he was younger, he grew up religious. So what happens with him? He tells me, "Look, Yedidia, do you know if I can find a pair of tefillin somewhere? If there's a gemach?" Okay, no problem. The next day, I show up to a client's house, and for many weeks I've been trying to get to this client. And this client, he gave a lot of pair of tefillins out. So I asked this client, and I tell him, "Look, do you have extra pair of tefillin lying around in your office?" He tells me, "Yeah, I have one extra pair." So I called my friend and tell him, "Look, last night you called me for a pair of tefillin. Now it's been many weeks, it's been like months I'm trying to get with this client. It's very difficult to reach, and it's very difficult to get him in his office, and he has a pair of tefillin." So I call him up, and I tell the boss, I tell him, "Look, he wants a pair of tefillin, so what can we do here?" So he says, "You know what? It's $1,000. If he wants them, he has to come now. Business is business. You can't remove the businessman from it. You want something, you get it now. If not, you don't want it." So I tell my friend, he goes, he takes the bus. Half an hour later, it was 10:30 in the morning. He's there with his pair of tefillin, and he told them, "I'm going to wear my tefillin every day." So now fast forward like 2 years now, and Baruch Hashem, he learns every day, and now he just got a job, and he has a chavuta in the morning and at night, and Baruch Hashem, things are going very, very well for him compared to how things were going 2 years ago. But why do I say this story? It's very important, this story, because to show the Hashgacha Pratit. We saw many times it says, someone who wants to become close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he wants to change his life, he wants to get married, he wants to have a good Jewish kosher life, and he comes closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so he does one step. So this guy calls me up. He could have called 100 other people. He could have not called me at all. Let's say I would be on vacation. I would not have this client the next day. It's not so simple just to ask someone, "Give me $1,000. So Baruch Hashem, it went very nicely and smoothly. So why do we say all this? To go back to the story of Eliezer, because right away when he went and he requested what he requested, Hashem went and gave it to him. And we also see the same thing with the man. What was with the man? The man, we saw that when the people were believing in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem is the one who will provide for me. Already on Rosh Hashanah, it was decided I don't have to go crazy and do all types of loopholes and jump up and down and do, I have to go to Argentina and do all kinds of things and be so busy with 100 different projects at the same time just to make some money. The same way, it's like, it's funny because it says if you open, let's say, 10 restaurants, so then you get the $1 million, but divided by 10, so 100K. So it's much more effort. But if you have one restaurant, but Hashem sends a blessing, the same restaurant can bring you the $1 million. Now, the fourth reason why Hashem made it that they couldn't have children. So the fourth answer is that we know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Abraham that your children will go and become slaves in Egypt, right? Not in Egypt, but in a land that we foreign to them. And we know that from the time that Yitzchak was born, this is when the decree started. But the longer Yitzchak will take to have children, then the longer the generation will be for us to stay inside Egypt. So that's why in the end, with all the calculations, we actually only had 86 years of heavy and difficult work to do. But outside of those 86 years, let's say from the time that Yosef died, many years went by from Yitzchak, Yaakov, Yosef, etc. So now we continue in the parasha of what happened. We see that Yitzchak and so we saw that they both went up and they both prayed at the same time. But it says in the verse that Hashem accepted the tefillah of Yitzchak. And it doesn't say, it says Vayeter lo. It doesn't say Vayeter lahem. It didn't accept both of them, both of the tefillot. So now, just to understand this question that the Mamlech brings, even the Rashi brings the same question, is that why is it that it seems that it was only the tefillah of Yitzchak that was accepted, not the tefillah of Rivka, not the tefillah of Yitzchak, not the tefillah of Rivka. So now we're going to see a very nice story that's brought in the Gemara of a very big tzaddik. His name was Abba Hilkiyahu. So Abba Hilkiyahu, vaya chashuv meod. In the time of the Gemara, he was like, he was like, this rabbi you have to go see. So there's always a rabbi who comes to town. This rabbi you cannot miss. You miss him, you snooze, you lose. And when they had trouble because there was no rain. And ask him, please, Rabbi, daven for us that we should have rain, should have blessing. And they would never leave empty-handed. And as soon as they would go there, the geshamim, the rain would fall, meaning that there was no funny business there. You go there, you get it. It's interesting. There's a story, and it's actually brought by Rav Ovadia Yosef. So if it's brought by Rav Ovadia Yosef, this we can believe, right? Because sometimes you hear stories. It's funny. I heard Rabbi David Yosef Shlita is the current Rishon LeZion. You saw many books about his father, about other people. He said that people wrote about them. He said most of the stuff you hear about miracles and things like that, he says sheker v'kazav, things that never happened. It's just all made up. But this one I heard from Rav Ovadia Yosef himself, that he was with Baba Sali. And Baba Sali, they didn't have a mikveh. It was in Morocco. I don't know if Baba Sali told him the story, but nevertheless, they were in Morocco. There was no rain. There was 3 years no rain. Nothing doing. And they had a mikveh. And then the water, Baruch Hashem, there was a big miracle that the water fell inside the mikveh. And in the mikveh, they realized that they followed all the shitot, they followed all the different rulings except one ruling. And Baba Saleh was a very big tzaddik. What did he say? He said, look, empty the whole mikveh, and we'll have to do it according to all the shitot, that everything will be mehadrin mina mehadrin, right? When you want something, and this is a very good example. When you want to go do a mitzvah, and this applies to everybody, including myself first, now we have to do a barometer. So what's the most important? Let's say someone is most important is his car. Let's say for a woman in her kitchen, her new appliances, or let's say, now the new thing for all mothers is to have a very nice carriage, $2,000-$3,000 carriage. It has to be the fanciest one, right? So now let's say someone would go for the fanciest car. She will make sure it's always top of the line. Oh, don't worry, there's this thing missing, there's that thing missing, we don't have leather seats. All this doesn't work. I want the best of the best. So the same thing goes also when it comes to the mitzvot. So Baba Sareh, what does he say? He say, look, nothing doing here, empty the mikveh. The same way that Hashem sent us a miracle on top of the water, He can send us a miracle after we build the mikveh. And exactly like he said, the next day when they finished the mikveh, I don't know exactly how long it was, but then the rain fell again and they filled up the mikveh. So here we have this Abba Chilkiyahu, we see that he davens to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and he gets his tefillot answered. So 1 year, the whole world was in very big difficulty. There was no rain. So many rabbis, they went and they asked him, they went to ask him to pray, and they did not find him at his house. So they went, they look in the fields. Where's this Abba Chilkiyahu? And they saw him that he was working. He told them, hi, how are you, Abba Chilkiyahu? Shalom Aleichem. He didn't answer them back. And did not turn to them to say, how are you? Nice to see you. Nothing doing. Imagine you go somewhere, you say, hi, Yedidja, how are you? The guy doesn't turn his head, nothing. What's happening here? Okay, this one's, are you sure he's the right rabbi? He's not the servant here? Okay, very good. That was the first thing. Now he continues. And now all day they're waiting there, they're sitting there. It's not all day. They came at 6 a.m. because it was an urgent matter. Now the Abba Chilkiyahu was working all day. Now it's 6 o'clock at night. Finally, he finishes his work. And now he's on his way to go home. Since he was a poor man, he went and he had a lot of wood. He would carry a lot of wood for him, I guess, for business. So he would take his cloak on one side and would take all the wood on another side. And the whole way he would go barefoot. But when he was in a place where there was water, he would wear his shoes again. But when he would go to a place where it was full of kotzim, so when it was full of thorns, or a place that was very difficult to go by, so he would go and pick up his clothing. So when he would go through the thorns, he would pick up his cloak and his clothes, and he would walk through with his feet. When he was close to his house, his wife would go and greet him. She would always wear very nice clothing, and she would have her makeup on and her jewelry, right? So today we have to try to change things. When the wife is at home, that's what she has to do, and when she's outside, it's okay. Right? Well, no, it's always good to be good, but I'm just saying that the idea behind it, like we see here, she wanted to make sure that she'll be pretty for her husband. And when they got in the house, his wife entered first, he entered after her. And even if the Chamim were still next to him, did not give them any kavod, didn't pay attention to them. But they weren't inside by themselves because they knew this is the way to behave, and they also knew that he was a very big rabbi. Now this rabbi, this chief rabbi, now you're following him. Imagine we're all together there. Now the rabbi goes in his house, he's with his 2 kids and his wife, sits down, starts eating. He doesn't tell you what happened last week. We said about Abraham, you have to go out and treat guests, and with Lot, what's happening here? He doesn't give them any water, no food, no nothing. No hello, no nothing. Okay, what's happening here? Okay. And he says, maybe you want to eat something. Now the Chassid, this Chassid went, Abba Chilkiyahu, he went and he ripped the bread in 3 ways. So he gave one piece to his oldest son, and two pieces to his younger son. After he told his wife, and he whispered to her, he said, it seems to me that these rabbis, they came for the rain. And they didn't speak to me at all about this subject. So they both went up to the roof. So now the rabbi Abba Chilkiah went on one side, his wife went on the other side on the roof, and they both davened to HaKadosh Baruch Hu from the bottom of their heart. And before they were able to finish the tefillah, there was very dark clouds that came on the side of the woman. So on the side of the woman, it was full of clouds, and on the side of the man, it was all sunny. What's happening here? So after Baruch Hashem, the rain came. Now they both go back downstairs. And now finally Abba Chilkiah goes, rabbis, how are you? Come on in, Jeremy, Rafael, Yedidia, Baruch Haba, thank you for coming. Said, why did you come here? He said, you should know that the greatest of the generation sent us to you, said you should daven for us, you should daven. If you should because they know that when you pray, the tefillah goes express. So he said, blessed is Hashem that had mercy on the world, and because you don't need my tefillah, right? You guys said, what did you guys come for? Before you were able to ask me for it, the rain already came, right? So ענו לו החכמים אמרו, יודעים אנו בבירור שזה אמר היא שהביאה את הגשמים. שברגע שהתחבא בפנינו להתפלל לקדוש ברוך הוא ייתן לו שכר טוב, וזה שלא מבקשים ממנו שיסביר לנו את הנהגתו, ששאלנו דברים משונים ואנו טמאים מאוד כפי שנשאל פירט אחרי פחת ויענה לנו. So now they told him, look, Rabbi, you can't fool us. We know that you left the room, and right away after you left the room, the rain came. So we know it came from you. But you see, even there, you tried to be humble. But he asked him, please, Rabbi, we don't understand the way that you were behaving. That's also something very important, is that there's one side where you learn the halacha, and there's one side it's called shimush. Shimush means when you see rabbis, the way they behave, the way they speak, the way they do certain things, and you learn from their actions. So here we have a lot of very weird situations. So let's see. The first questions that we have, so why when we said hi to you, you didn't answer? Right? We know even when you do Kriyat Shema, if you do Kriyat Shema now, and there's the rabbi that comes, and you're in the middle of the Prakim, you say hi to him. If you have to fear him, you have to say hello to him. Right? Let's say you're Rav, you're in the middle of Shema. Now your Rav says hi to you, so you have to answer him. Let's say there's a king, you have to speak, so you don't say hi. So he says, so he answered them, why didn't you say hi to us? He says, because I get paid by the hour. It's forbidden for me to leave my job to speak with you, even for a little bit. What? Am I going to steal from my boss? So imagine this. Now unfortunately all the workers on their phones, right? But imagine. So this was, he didn't want to steal. So even by saying hello, I'm already in trouble. I'm already in the gedera of stealing. The second one, but maybe we can give a kav zchut also, is that the boss understands that nowadays people are on their phone, so he understands here and there they go on their phone. It's okay. He accepts to get to pay the extra. Now the second question: so why did he go and put the wood on one shoulder and he put his cloak on another shoulder? So he said, because I borrowed this cloak. I didn't use it. I didn't take it so I can put my wood inside. So if I borrow something from you, I borrow your car, I'm not going to go and transport a fridge on it. Hey, Jeremy, can I borrow your Mercedes? Okay, good. What's this old scratch here? Look, I went to IKEA and I got this. Doesn't work like that. So he went. I can't go and use something that I borrowed and maybe I might rip it or do something and put my my wood inside. So that's why he couldn't wear the cloak, right? So you had to wear on the side, so it wouldn't get ripped with the wood. Third question was, why did the whole way did you go barefoot? And when you got into the water, you started wearing your shoes. He said, because on the way I see, he says, because when I go on the way, when I'm inside when I go on a regular way, I don't need my shoes because I can see where I'm going. But in the water, I put my shoes because there might be a certain fish or certain snake that can come and attack me. I need to have shoes on. The fourth question, and he said, because also we have to remember, it was sport. It wasn't like today. Want new clothing, you order, you get this, Baruch Hashem, you have to be grateful. But let's say a person had one set of clothing for the year. That's it. 5 years, 10 years. Honey, what did you get me for 50-year anniversary? Here you go. I got you another jacket. That's your present. So here he said, I didn't want to get it ripped because if I get it ripped, then I can't fix it. Right? There's a limit to how much you can rip your clothes. So he said it's better for me to get hurt, and then I'm gonna heal. Then my clothes should get destroyed. Now the fifth question was, why is it that when you came to your house, your wife came out to greet you? Why did your wife come to greet you? She came all nicely with perfume and with earrings. You have to be very careful that a person has to know that he's not able to look at a woman that does not belong to him. Because just looking brings to him horrible things. Everything goes by looking. No one says, oh, I'm going to cheat on my wife. Oh, I'm going to do this. No one says, oh, look, I'm going to do. It started off, the coworker, the secretary. Oh, how are you? Everything good? Yeah. And then one thing led to another. But everything starts with the eyes. It says, since we live in a courtyard and there's a lot of women there and they do all kinds of things there and they come out of their houses and everything. So my wife makes sure to come out. So I look at her. I only look at her. The sixth question was, why did the master enter the Marubba? Why did he go and enter the house before us? Why didn't he let us go inside with him? He didn't give them kavod to go inside first. Another Amar, I don't know you guys. Also, so for two reasons. One thing is that you don't know people. You don't just go and say, oh, don't worry, everything is good, everything's happy, everyone's great. No, you don't know people. So the people that you don't know, they can have a cheskat of rasha. There's someone knocking at your door. You have to ask him questions. You have to see. You have to make sure if your wife is there, your kids are there. It's not so simple just to open and just to think that it's so that we accept everybody like that, because there might be people that are dangerous. So he said that's why I had to go in first. So you should not be alone with my wife even for a few moments. I didn't want you guys to go behind her. We also know an halacha that a person should not go behind a woman. So he said, so it's much better for a man to go behind his wife than another man. Now the seventh question. So now he said, I understand now you started eating. Why didn't you give us some food? Why didn't you share your food with us? Because the food was not maspeak for all of us. So this is another halacha. What's called gonev da'at habiryot? There's a halacha. I'm sorry to share this with you guys, because the more we learn, the more we have to understand how severe the Torah is on many aspects. But there's a thing called gonev da'at, to steal someone's mind, to trick him, a marketing campaign on him. So what does this mean? Let's say now you have a big wedding coming up, and now there's this whole family you don't like so much, but they're all in Israel, and for sure they're not coming. So you go and you send them an invitation, dafka, knowing that they're in Israel. This is called genivat da'at. meaning that you make them think something that's not true. Let's say now I go to Jeremy's house, and now Jeremy wants to open, I don't know, I don't like to drink, but I don't know, Blue Label, is that good enough? Or this is for the, okay, well, let's say Blue Label. It's a let's say a $400 bottle. So now I go there, but Jeremy, there's Raphael and there's me. So now Jeremy was going to open it anyway. So when I show up, he tells me, Yedidya, I love you, brother. So here, I'm going to open the bottle for you. So my friend, there's another avera here. Why? It's called Genivat Da'at. That we cannot go and pretend that we do something for someone if we didn't have the intention. And here, that's what he said. He said, I cannot tell you guys you're always welcome in my house. Come, no, we don't want to go and disturb you guys. No, don't worry, you're invited. Okay. Why? Because there was no food. So I cannot invite you, and then you're going to refuse if there's no food for you guys. So that's what he did here. It wasn't enough food for my wife and I. So how can I invite you? I'm not going to pretend to invite you, and then you refuse, and then and then it's going to be Gnevadat because you thought I really invited you and I had food for you. Now the 8th question was, why did you give one big piece of bread to the oldest son and 2 pieces of bread to the youngest son? The answer, because the oldest son is at home all day and he eats whenever he wants. But the young son, he learns all day in yeshiva and he doesn't have time to eat. Therefore, I give him 2 pieces. But here, all these questions so far is very interesting because we see that there's always a zvara. There's always something. There's nothing just like that. Why did you do this? Oh, I don't know. I felt like it. Why did you? There's always a thinking that goes behind it with the chachamim. Now, the 9th question was, and this is the final question, why did the clouds go on the side of your wife? And on your side, it was clear. The coast was clear. You want to answer them. Know that the tzedakah that a woman does is more important than the tzedakah that a man does. Because of 2 reasons. The first one, first one is that she's at home. So whenever there's someone knocking at the door, he's collecting for Eretz Yisrael, for himself, for his family. So she opens the door, she sees a poor man, she gives him $5, $10, $50, something, and he never goes empty-handed. But the husband is always working, so it's difficult for the poor man to find him. That's the first reason. And the second reason, and also because her tzedakah is more important than tzedakah of man. Because when she gives bread, she gives food, she gives life to the poor man. But let's say you give him money, he can't eat the money. So he has to do another step to get the food that he needs. And if he dies out of hunger, like we saw with Nachum Ish Gamzo. Nachum Ish Gamzo, we have to know, he was the rabbi that used to always say Gamzo L'Tova. Even this is for the good. And he was the rabbi of Rabbi Akiva. And he went, and one day there was a poor man that went and asked him for money. And he said, don't worry, wait till I unload my animals. By the time he waited, the guy died. And then there was a whole story of what he did after. But just to say that just to give money to a poor person, you don't know his situation. Even a few years ago, there was a story like that there was a boy, he was working out and in school, and then he needed water, and then he ran to the school, didn't open the door. I don't know exactly what happened, and then he died because he didn't have water. So sometimes you don't know the situation of the person. You should not make him wait if he's asking for food. And also he added Abba Chikia. So my wife has those 2 things, that she gives food and she always gives to anyone who comes to the door. She also has a 3rd thing. A 3rd thing that she did was, instead of praying, because they had evil neighbors, they call. What happened with him? Listen, we live on Westmount. Jeremy's grass is 5 centimeters instead of 4 centimeters. How do you know? Because we measured it. So they call public security, they call the police. I don't know if you know about these types of neighbors, but some neighbors, unfortunately, they have a lot of free time, and I guess they don't have a family, or I don't know what they have, but they have a lot of free time to bother other people for things that is none of their business. But let's say they call, look, the grass is 6 centimeters. It's 11:01. We're 1 minute after. The police are already at your house. It happened to us once. It was 10:30 Sukkot. We're outside. The police already came. So the first night when they came, we had the message for the second night. And when they showed up in the Sukkah, there was nobody. But Baruch Hashem, so what did she say? Abba Chika would daven. He said, well, look at those people. They're criminals, they're drug dealers, all kinds of horrible things. They should all die, these people. But his wife said, no, they shouldn't die. She davened for them to do tshuva. So he said that since after they did tshuva, what does Hashem want? It's much better for Hashem that people will go and do tshuva, like we saw with Yonah. It's much better for that Hashem goes to punish them. He doesn't want to punish anybody. Hashem wants for everyone to live, right? But to live, you have to be a good person. So they did teshuvah, and therefore, because she had this extra merit, then the clouds were on her side. So with all this, we have to ask: so why did the tefillah of Yitzchak was accepted? Now the tefillah of Rivka, if we see that in general, it could be that women have an even bigger power of tefillah. The tshuva ki ena doma tefillah tzadik ben tzadik tzadik ben rasha, because the tefillah of a tzadik ben tzadik. That's why when you go to a big rabbi, you go to someone like Rav Yosef, you go to someone like Baba Sali, you ask him for a bracha. It's not the same thing. Why? Because it's a tzaddik ben tzaddik. He was righteous, and his father was righteous. So he has his own merit, and he also has zchut avot, right? And since Rivka, so Yitzchak was the son of Abraham, and Rivka was the daughter of Betuel. Betuel was a rasha. He does avodah zarah. So tefillah wasn't as important, was as accepted as the tefillah of Yitzchak, that was the son of Abraham. And we see right after when she got pregnant and she gave birth, ושני בנים מפעם אחת, ואף על פי שאנו מדברים ברבקה צריך להוסיף, הכתוב אשתו, ויודענו כי לא היה צורך לשנות שמה, כפי שהיה אצל שרה. And also something else with Rivka was that they didn't have to change her name, that she was because it was already the second generation, and she went and was able to have 2 children right away after davening with Yitzchak. So now we're going to finish off, but I just want to go through a few different avot, neviim that prayed, and we saw that the tefillah was answered. And that's why a person, whenever he has difficulties in his life, whether it's personal, whether it's with his family, whether it's business-wide, should always turn to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Many times, the 1%, even this week, 3 days ago, I had a crazy case like that. A huge file, the guy had a huge claim, the price went from, 100 to 200. Baruch Hashem, a whole situation came up, and Baruch Hashem, the price went down by 60,000. But just to say that whenever a person has any situation, he should turn to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I'm going to finish off with this, just a few examples of who prayed. So we see that Avraham Avinu, he went, and he prayed to HaKadosh Baruch Hu to go and save the city of Sodom, right? And how did he go and pray? Because he said maybe there's tzaddikim there, for the sake of tzaddikim, they should be saved and have a chance to do teshuvah. We also see Yitzchak Avinu and Rivka Avinu, like we saw, that they prayed after many years, and they have Yaakov and Esav. We see that Yaakov Avinu, he prayed, he said, he said, Hashem, please save me from my brother, from the hands of Esav. We saw that he got saved. We see that Moshe Rabbeinu, when there was the sin of the Egel, Cheta Egel, he prayed to HaKadosh Baruch Hu to cancel the decree. Hashem said, look, we'll make a nation just out of you. But we see that just by the fact that Moshe went, he prayed for us and he fought for us, so Hashem went and removed the evil decree. Then we see also with Miriam, that when Miriam she spoke bad about Moshe, she said the Lashon Hara. We see that Moshe prayed for her, and he said, El na rifanala, 5-word prayer, and she was healed. And then we see also with Aaron, that when that he went and used the ketoret to stop the plague, there was a plague that we saw in the Midbar. We also see with Yoshua that he prayed to know who was the one that was responsible for the Averot. As they went to war and 36 soldiers died. They did a huge investigation. There's no such thing. Hashem is with us. Everywhere I go, Hashem is with me. How can I have one soldier dying? The big investigation here. And then Hashem went and he made it reveal that it was Achan. It was because of Achan and the Avodah Zarah that they did. And then we see also with Shmuel Navi, we see with David HaMelech all the time, the whole Sefer Tehillim. So he prayed to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem saved him from Shaul. He saved him from his own son, and he saved him from Goliath. All kinds of incredible things that Hashem saved him from. And we also see Elisha Navi with the woman, the Shunami, that didn't have children. So we see, and also the last one we're going to go speak about, and we're going to finish off with this, is about Chizkiyahu. So Chizkiyahu, we have to know, he didn't want to have children. He knew that in the future his children will be Reshaim, will be Menashe. So he said, it's not for me, children, I'll just do other things. I'm a king, I have other business to do. He was learning Torah, and we know that he was sentenced to die. So the prophet went to him, Yeshaya, he told him, you're going to die. So he said, so he said, get out of here. I know what I'm going to do. And he went and he prayed to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And he prayed very hard to Hashem. And it says, and we learned from him in the Masechet Brachot, many places, that afilu chereb munach al tzavaro, lo al mitayesh mishna rachamim. Even if a person has a sword on his neck, he should never give away his hope for the mercy of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Then we know the story. He went on to live another 15 years. So we see from this parasha, we didn't have time to go through also with maybe one day we'll have time with Yaakov, Esav, the blessing, and how we went. But Baruch Hashem, just the idea that we have that we should always feel close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and praying to Hashem, that Hashem is Matzui Mashgiach. It's one of the 13 principles. Therefore, in our everyday lives, we can start with the Birkat HaShachar, just being thankful about the different things Hashem gave us, and to have this personal relationship and to pray every day to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and B'ezrat Hashem, we should all see Yeshua. Thank you very much. I can't hear you, Jeremy.